You, Mr. President. Could I get you to step forward, please? Raise your right hand and be sworn.
Do you solemnly swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony and evidence you provide the court today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Will you please state your name for the record?
Lynn Zonley.
I'm sorry.
Lynn Zonley.
Thank you, Ms. Donnelly. Please be seated.
Lynn, L-Y-N-N-E. Zonley is Z-A-H-N-L-E-Y.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Counsel.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Ms. Donnelly. Thank you for coming. Do you have report the mediation recommendation that you prepared, and the number is A as in Apple, 81-091?
I'm sorry, what did you ask me?
I'm sorry, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you, I just didn't,
Okay.
kind of muddled it.
No problem. I have a soft voice. I'll try again. Do you have the mediation recommendation report with you?
I do.
Okay, would you mind pulling that out so we are looking at the same one, please? Now, it's not in that binder.
Not in that
No,
binder, I have my own,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. And it's number A is an Apple 81.091. Is that correct?
81091, yes.
Yes. So, in terms of the information that you reviewed, one of the things, comments in your report was that you were not able to find the court orders that required Mr. Tice to engage in testing for 6 months. Do you recall that as a part of your report?
Yes, I saw that's in my report.
Okay. Could I get you to kindly look in the binder, the white binder that's in front of you? And if you would look please at exhibit number 2. Do you have that?
Yes,
Okay. Do you recognize this as a court ordered file endorsed January 25th, 2016?
I do.
And it does order that Mr. Tice was supposed to test for 6 months by Judge Acquisto.
Yes, I see that.
Okay. And then in terms of, and so that was in
Excuse me,
January.
but just so you'll know, I'm not provided with all the information in the court file,
That's
just so
okay.
you know.
No, I understand, I appreciate it. I just have to review the things that you looked at so we understand the
Okay.
basis for your report. Do you have access to the court file when you?
I do, but I don't. I mean, if I wanna look for it, come to either the courtroom or find it within the courthouse, I can do that. But Family Court Services has its own reports, its own files.
So does Family Court Services see a copy of the things that are in the file as though, are they somehow scanned so that you can actually see the orders that are there?
Not yet.
Okay, so you
Perhaps in the future, but not yet.
I probably ought to mention that you and I have to be careful about speaking over each other for the court reporter so that we don't, make it difficult for her to record our voices. So for the time being, you have to actually go to the records department and get the file to see what is there, is that right?
If I choose to do that, I don't have to do that. That is not part of my job.
The second order that was made for testing, if you could please look at exhibit number 3. And these are also base stamped at bottom, so you see exhibit number 3, file endorsed July 25th, 2016.
Yes.
And if you turn the page, you see the first paragraph.
Yes.
Would you mind reading that out loud?
Father has not complied with the drug testing order. He is not drug tested one time. The court will reissue the drug testing order. Father shall provide copies of drug test results to the mother and the court.
Okay. Did you happen to have a copy of the pleading that my client filed indicating all of the tests that were provided years ago that were not consistent with the 6-month requirement. Did you see any of that?
No, I didn't. I don't recall, but I doubt if I'd seen them. Unless they bring them to Family Court Services, I don't see them.
Okay. So you didn't know about these orders, and you also didn't know about the things that my client had told the court about the various times that he had given incomplete tests or tests that were not observed.
I was told.
Okay.
Mom told me about this stuff.
Okay. And are you aware of the Family Code 3041.5, which requires such that when a court makes an order for drug testing, that it has to follow the protocols of the Department of Transportation, meaning it has to be observed? You aware of that?
No, I'm not an attorney.
Okay, I didn't know if you were aware of that.
Yeah, no. Can I look at my report a second?
Absolutely.
I believe I recommended that he do the drug testing.
Yes, thank you, I appreciate that. Okay. Now, you nevertheless, in spite of the fact that he hadn't done the drug testing, you were ready to go ahead and, let's look at your recommendation here. Unsupervised parenting time. While there has not been any history of 6 months testing, that's number one. It says father shall have unsupervised parenting time with the child on each and every Saturday from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m.
Correct.
So even though he's never complied with the court orders in the last, since 2015, you believed that it was safe for the child to have unsupervised contact with father?
Okay, what I was told was that Dad never did it 6 months in a row. That was the emphasis. I don't know whether that was the court order or not, but Mom was not concerned whether he'd done 6 months, only that he had never done 6 consecutive months. So I was not terribly concerned that he didn't do 6 months, it's just that they weren't within a 6-month period, and it didn't sound like she was overly worried about it. It sounded more punitive.
Okay, so I guess it would have been hard for you to understand if you hadn't seen the pleading, such as the pleading that she filed on December 6th, 2019, which was before the date that she met you for mediation, was it not? I believe it was. It looks like you met with her on, did you tell me on the report what day you actually met with the parties?
Yeah, on page 2, November 21st.
Okay, so November 21st, so good 3 weeks later, there was another declaration filed with the court where that would be December 6th, 2019, where she stated on page 6 that there were 6 test results, 2 from 2016 that were negative but not observed, 3 from 2017 negative but not observed, and 1 from 2019 negative and not observed.
I did not have that information.
Okay. Do you think that is significant for the court to understand whether or not Mr. Tice is truly sober at this point?
I'm sorry, you're asking, could you ask it again?
Do you think that is important for you to consider in making a recommendation as to whether or not Mr. Tice is a safe parent at this point, if he's able to follow court orders and have the appropriate testing?
I mean, most of the people I deal with don't follow court orders. That's not an excuse, but it's kind of a fact. I didn't recommend that Dad have unsupervised visitation forever. I recommended that he have day only, and if he would be consistent, then maybe it would be extended into more. At that time, he has to drug test according to my recommendations, and if it were to come back dirty, then Mom would bring it back to court.
Okay, so, would it surprise you to know that on December 11, that we came to court and Mr. Tice agreed to do the drug testing for 6 months?
I read the new court order.
Okay, thank you. Would it further surprise you to know that since then, he has stated he will not do any drug testing?
People, I don't get surprised easily anymore.
Does that affect your your recommendation that he refuses to do the drug
It
testing?
certainly would, yes.
Another incident occurred more recently, and if you could please look at, exhibit number 9. Actually, let me have you turn to, okay, we'll start with exhibit number 9. You see the restraining order was issued for 5 years on January 23rd, 2020.
Mhm. Yes, I do see that.
You probably weren't aware of that, were you?
No, I was not,
And that was after you had made your recommendation, correct?
quite a bit.
Do you know what led to that restraining order?
Absolutely not.
In a pleading that my client filed. On January 28, she included a copy of an email from Mr. Tice, where on December 20, he emailed her and he said, quote, "Hey, this is between me and you. You are a sick effing person, Amanda. Doing what you're doing after a lot of thought and prayer, I have decided I won't be returning to court. I will get my daughter back my way, as your way has only proved biased, period. You wanted me to do things the right way, comma, I did them, comma, and where did that get me? Question mark. It's really okay though, your punishment awaits you, I promise that, period." He went on to write, "So save yourself some money, fire your lawyer, won't be needing her anymore. I am going to burn you and your entire family tree down, period. Cheers, period." After that, my client she filed a police report and then obtained a permanent 5-year restraining order. Does having that information affect your recommendation?
First of all, my recommendation was ignored. Of course, my job is to keep kids safe. It is not, if they wanna carry this on forever and ever, they can do that. I want the kids safe. There's a restraining order in place, Family Code 3044 would apply, and, of course, I would pay attention to that.
Okay,
It was not in place at the time.
I understand. I'm asking you more for now. I understand this wasn't in place then, but as for now, doesn't that affect your recommendation? Or if the court were to ask you now, if your recommendation were to stay the same, you probably would say no, correct?
My recommendation would be that Dad have to complete the anger management program. He'd have to comply with 3044. Generally, that means anger management classes. In his case, it would be a rehab program, parenting classes, and, that would not necessarily be all he had to do, but those are some of the things that would help to rebut 3044.
You're aware that Mr. Tice actually moved to Florida in 2018?
I don't.
You don't recall? Okay, were you told by my client that he only recently came back in the summer of 2019 in order to have visitation with his daughter?
I don't recall.
So when Mr. Tice says, I will get my daughter back my way, does that cause you as a mediator to be concerned about her safety?
If it were presented to me and I could ask questions, I'd ask more questions. I don't know what my way means.
At this point, do you believe that your recommendation is not, listed current because of the intervening circumstances and the information that you didn't have regarding the drug testing and the restraining order?
It would not be appropriate now, if for no other reason than the restraining order.
All right, thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions?
I do, yes, Your
About
Honor.
what she said?
felt like she said, yes.
Now, what she's testified to is that she made a recommendation based on talking to you and talking to your former wife, and that now she's aware of things that would change her recommendation. So if you've got questions that are relevant to that, you can ask her.
I got questions relevant to her report.
Well,
If I
she's
can ask.
testified as to her report. The report makes a recommendation that you have the visits outlined. What she's testified to now, today, is that she's aware of things that would cause her to make a difference.
Yes, I understand. I have other different questions though.
Pardon?
I have different questions other than their
That's fine.
questions.
Ask her the questions you have to ask.
Ma'am, thank you for coming. You, in your report, you, for one, listed PTSD as like the main thing. Also, you put that I was sober for over 1 year now, but do you remember the specific date I gave you? Okay. That specific date was actually, would have been, it's over 3 years
That's
sober now.
testimony. You can't do that. You can
Okay.
ask her question. She said no.
Okay. There was brought up allegations of sexual abuse in the report. Allegations about the father's brother, but no more specific was provided. Why didn't, you're a mandated reporter. If there's supposedly some sexual abuse from my brother, why didn't you do anything about that?
Well, I don't know for a fact that there was sexual abuse. I was
Okay,
told
but it
there
was-
could be, and the person who told me it would have more information to give CBS. If I just call and say the mom said the kid was sexually abused and I didn't talk to the kid and the kid didn't say, yes, I was sexually abused,
Okay.
it would not necessarily be proper for me to contact CBS.
Okay. As far as the anger management, the family courses that you mentioned that I would, you would recommend I would take, were you aware that I've already done all those? Family court, the anger management. I actually completed all of those things long before.
Well, I don't, like I said earlier, I don't necessarily have all
Okay.
information available to me in the FCS file.
Okay.
And had you brought them to me, that would have given me more information. I don't know when you took those tests or when you did any of this. I kind of believed you that you had done some of this stuff, so I was giving you some wiggle room.
Okay, so based on, I have right here, this is actually a report from the drug testing facility from the owner and everything. 4-page letter stating that actually all the drug tests that I did take were, no, you cannot interrupt me, please.
No,
Sorry.
don't you interrupt. Okay? The objection is sustained. Do you have a document you wanted marked for evidence?
It's already been in evidence, Your Honor.
No, I don't believe so.
This should be in all evidence.
Sir, if you have a document you wanted
Okay,
the court to refer to, show it to counsel first.
it's these people. It's all right.
Any of those documents should have been pre-marked and placed in a binder. You received those instructions at the time of trial setting.
I recognize he can submit it as an exhibit. I'll be, objecting. It's hearsay.
There's an objection.
It's hearsay, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, what's the
It's
objection?
hearsay.
Okay.
I just want to be, I want to understand what that means. So you're saying that this is hearsay?
It's a-
Okay, I just want to make sure that, okay, so Andrew Horn is a liar, got it, okay.
That would be sustained.
Yeah. Okay, well, back to this. So let's, since I did complete everything,
Sir, that's, will be stricken, okay?
okay, let's say I did complete all of these
That's the
things.
questions that you have,
I'm trying to, Your Honor.
okay?
I'm not a lawyer, can I just ask, and I'm trying to ask, but I keep being interrupted, so
Sir, you're asking improper questions.
I'm trying to ask, Your Honor.
Okay,
If,
that's good. Keep trying and we'll keep moving. Okay, go ahead.
okay. Under these recommendations, you had put that, you know, I needed to take other courses and do what they said. Now, assuming that I did do assuming that this isn't hearsay and everything else isn't hearsay, apparently everything's hearsay, not the truth. Let's say that it is true that I did do the observed test. The tests were done observed, which they were. Also in the court order, it doesn't say consecutive. Didn't I not explain to you why I missed that one drug test? It was because I was out working when they called me, and this facility was not equipped to test me from, in Monterey, which is why I missed that one test, which I did complete later. Is your recommendation still the same? Would it still be the same following that I basically did complete everything?
Okay.
And it's not hearsay?
Like I said earlier, I believed you,
Yes. Okay.
and I made recommendations based on that.
Okay, so thank you. That's very good. I appreciate that. Let's see. I think that's really all. Do you know how PTSD works, ma'am? As far as ratings go, percentages? Because you're very clear to put that on your first line as 100%. To most people, they would think,
Well, sir, that's not a question. You can ask her if she put down 100% disabled from PTSD.
Okay.
Or you can ask her a question about that.
I'm trying to, Your Honor. Trying to ask, but okay. Keep getting interrupted and you throw me off. Do you know what 60% disabled for PTSD, what that means?
No.
Okay. Basically, ma'am, it means that.
Sir, just testify. Now, you'll have an opportunity.
Okay.
to testify if you have
Ooh,
to.
I don't know how this works.
Testify by asking questions.
If you, this is funny. Oh man, this is funny. You state that she leaves the child with maternal grandmother. Do you know what the grandmother does? Do you know what my child goes home to every day?
No.
Okay. Let's see. I asked you asked me actually, what would Ava say if she came in here? Why didn't you bother to talk to her at all? Why did you basically just listen to everything the mom had to say, even though I was very clear of saying, please talk to my daughter? Why didn't you?
I don't recall.
Do you believe it might have changed some things if you had spoken to
Sir, she
Ava?
did speak with the child.
Did I?
Yeah, on page 3 and 4.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I don't have that.
Well, you got page 3 of her report.
I have 2 pages of her report.
You don't have the entire report.
Can someone tell me what it says?
Do you want me to read it to you?
Okay, here we go. Age appropriate says she enjoys.
She's found it, I guess.
Okay. So she didn't say anything to indicate that she wasn't safe with me. What reasons do you believe that she's not actually safe with me? Besides like you said, the court things, people don't follow those. So besides those, what are you concerned that I'm going to do? What would be your concern that am I going to harm my child? And what would be your concerns?
Okay, my recommendation was you have some unsupervised time with your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's limited, day only, and if you're able to do that for a sufficient length of time, then maybe we'd look at increasing it. Basically, I was giving you a chance.
Okay. All right. Wow. I guess that's it.
Any other questions of the mediator?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, is the mediator excused then? All right, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your testimony.
And I am excused, correct?
Yes, you are. Thank you. counsel your next witness?
Yes, I'd like to call Mr. Tice, please.
Okay, so Mr. Tice, if you'd step up here, raise your right hand and be sworn.
Do you solemnly swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony and evidence you provide the court today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Will you please state your name for the record?
Patrick Tice.
Okay, Mr. Tice, let me explain to you how this works, because you are representing yourself and you seem to be having a little bit of difficulty understanding the rules or how we proceed. She's gonna ask you questions and you answer her questions directly. You don't argue with her, you don't add things in. After she's finished with her case, with her witnesses, then you'll have an opportunity to present your witnesses and to testify. So if there are things you wanna tell me, then you'll have an opportunity to tell me.
Okay.
But this is not this is not the place to try and get them in, you're just gonna answer her questions.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, counsel.
All right, Mr. Tice, you were convicted of spousal abuse against my client in 2015, is that correct?
2015?
Maybe it was 2014, December of 2014 or January of
Nope.
2016?
No.
I'm looking at a judgment that was filed with the court on November 26, 2019. And it looks like the judgment was entered, arraignment plea was entered on 1/22/15.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe you could take that microphone and just point it down a little bit more. Thank you. I have a bit of a hearing problem. And so that was for Penal Code 273, 5A, which is spousal abuse. You understand that, right?
No.
You don't understand that?
No. What was the actual, sorry, I can't.
Okay, well, the judgment was entered, and in the judgment, there was an order for, it says, quote, enroll into and complete the following program, Batterers 52-week.
Yes.
That was through Placer County where the crime took place, correct?
Yes.
And you have never finished the 52-week Batterer treatment program, have you?
No.
Do you intend to finish that?
No.
Are court orders important for you to follow?
Not that one.
On December 12, when we were in court, I believe we were in court on December 11, and Judge Damrell was presiding over our matter. Do you remember that day?
Yes.
Being in court? Do you remember agreeing to test for 6 months according
No.
to her court order?
No.
You don't remember that?
I remember what I agreed to, but not, it's not what's in there, so no.
Okay, so in her order, on page 2, she wrote, quote, father agreed to participate in a random drug testing program for 6 months.
No.
You do not agree to do that?
It was under stipulations of what I agreed to, so no, I did not agree to that. I agreed that I would do whatever it took, drug testing, whatever they wanted, as long as my daughter was removed from the environment she is in. Now, if the judge would have done that, then yes, I would have agreed to testing. I would have done whatever they wanted. But since they wanted to just basically say, no, Mr. Tice, we're not gonna give you anything, but we're still gonna make you do this. So no, I won't do it.
You won't do that?
No, I won't.
And you haven't had any drug tests since the day of that court hearing, have you?
Yes, I have.
When did you have a drug test? Excuse me, did you
Oh,
just
good.
wink at me?
No, I winked at my assistant back there.
When did you have a drug test?
About 3 weeks ago.
And who did you test with?
It's on my phone, actually. I can show it to you.
I'm asking who you tested with.
Safeway.
So, do you mean you went down and you picked up you purchased your own testing tool?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you believe that that complies with the court orders that Judge Damrell made?
No.
initially, when you filed your request for the court to review your custody matter, you made various claims against my client. But more recently, something happened where you actually sent her an email threatening to burn her down and her family down, right?
No,
You did not send her an
no,
email?
I did not.
What did your email say?
Family tree. It's a metaphor.
Okay. So when you wrote, "I am going to burn you and your family tree down," you were just using that as a metaphor?
Yeah.
And when you said that you're going to get Ava in your own way, that was a metaphor also? What did you mean by that?
Did you read the lyrics to the song?
Pardon me?
Did you read the lyrics to the song I wrote? It's all in there.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Mr. Tice.
Gave it to you yesterday.
So,
Delivered to your office, the lyrics. That's what I mean, metaphorically speaking, end of story.
so the answer to that is in the lyrics to a song.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you living right now?
Between Florida and here,
How frequently do you go to Florida?
as often as I can.
When you're living here, where do you live?
Roseville,
What's the address?
I'm not giving that deal.
Your Honor, may I have the address where he's
Sure,
living?
she's asking for the address, it's a legitimate question.
Well, unfortunately, Your Honor, that I'm actually worried about my safe being because of the client and who she's actually with and dating, so no, I will not provide that. Because I've had many people following me, and it's actually been supervised, that's why we had to get rid of Cindy Wohas, if you don't remember that. The other supervisor, because you guys were tailing me, breaking into my cars, no, I won't give you my address.
Well, Counsel, I think your point's made without me.
Might I inquire, Your Honor, he had made reference to a person in the courtroom. Is this a person who's going to be a witness who's in the courtroom with Mr. Tice?
Mr. Tice,
Do you wanna be a witness, Chica? Sure, she'll be a witness.
she just shook her head no.
Oh,
Now,
do you
are
want
you
to-
gonna call her as a witness or not?
So if you're saying she has to leave this room if I don't?
If she's gonna be a witness, she's gonna have to leave the room, yes.
Oh, she's gonna have to leave the room?
Yeah, until she's called as a witness.
Oh, then no, she's not a witness, Your Honor.
She's not gonna be a witness, okay, thank you.
And when you go to Florida, who do you live with?
I stay at my family's for right now,
So that would be your permanent residence in Florida.
until I get my daughter, yes.
How long have you been living with your family?
A couple years.
Since you moved there in the summer of 2018? Do you work, Mr. Tice?
Sometimes, yeah.
Do you have a job in Florida?
I had one.
Do you have a job now in Florida?
No, because I'm back here too often dealing with this.
And do you work here in California?
No.
The media reported that you said to her that you were 100% disabled, or we'll say 100% disabled from the military. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And is PST a part of your,
PST, no.
excuse me, let's say it again, proper acronym, PTSD. Was that part of your disability?
Yes, it was.
Are you seeking treatment for the PTSD?
Not anymore, don't need it.
So you don't have any individual counseling for that?
Not anymore.
Are you willing to have counseling for PTSD?
No. Already had it. People do work through their issues, you know. We don't need counseling for the rest of our lives.
You've told the court several different concerns that you've had about my client. And some of those concerns are that you believed that my client was in a home or in her mother's home and that your child was somehow subject to sexual abuse.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any evidence of that?
I would actually if I was allowed to call my witnesses, but apparently I'm not allowed to, so now I guess it's just hearsay.
Well, what is your evidence, sir?
We'll get your witness on the client stand, I'll talk to her about that.
My question is, what is your evidence that there is an environment which might lead to some kind of sexual molestation of Ava?
What's my evidence? My
Yeah.
daughter's words, I guess, if I can go get them. I'll be happy to read everything off to you.
Okay, well, could you please point me to evidence of something that has
My
ever...
daughter's words on a supervised visit report. Is that not enough for you?
You have alleged that my client has allowed Ava to wear lipstick, correct?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
And you believe that that was encouraging Ava to become sexualized?
With lipstick, no. Let's go through the eyeshadow, the blush, the fake eyelashes, the lipstick, the foundation, all from Sephora. You know, that's a really expensive makeup for a mother that doesn't work.
And you believe that that was evidence that the child was being
And the
sexual?
hotel visits every weekend, Friday through Sunday.
Hang on just a second. Let me finish asking my question. In terms of the makeup, you believe that my client was allowing Ava to become sexualized when she was putting on makeup like that?
Trick question, but no, it's when the time she would, makeup's okay for children, but having a 9-year-old get so done up to go to a fancy dinner and then to a hotel room with her former abuser? Yeah, I don't know about that. I have pictures if you wanna see them with play makeup and unplay makeup.
Just answer the questions.
So, sir, you are also connecting her wearing makeup to a time when she has gone with her mother to spend the night in a hotel, and you are connecting those two to mean that sex trafficking occurred during
No.
that event?
No,
Okay, then why did that concern you, that Ava may have worn makeup when she went to a hotel with her mother?
how about you read the report and, it's not my concern, it's my daughter's words. I mean,
I'm
if you-
asking you, sir.
Okay, well,
What
let's
is your
see.
concern?
My daughter said that she puts on.
Objection, hearsay. So I'm asking you what your concern is.
My concern is that my daughter goes to a weekend with a predator every weekend. That's my concern.
And what predator are you talking about?
Michael Escobedo, the one who put a gag order on me, just not stop saying his name. I don't know, but someone who's guilty would do that.
So you're talking about my client's fiance?
Oh, the fiancés now, they're boyfriend, girlfriend when this all started. When did they get engaged?
Is it your concern that,
Another fake engagement.
Sir, you're testifying, you're
Sir,
not
sorry,
answering
I apologize.
you're not answering the questions. Listen to the questions, answer the questions.
you have made
It'll be
several,
your turn to testify in a few minutes.
you've made many allegations regarding my client's home, stating that it wasn't a safe place for Ava to be, right?
Yes.
Okay, and however, when is the last time you've actually been in the home?
Been in there?
Yes.
Well, let's see, I got pictures of that. Let's see, right before I left for Florida.
When were you in your?
I just told you, right before I left from Florida,
When was that, sir?
2018.
Thank you.
So even if that is true, you haven't been in the home for quite some time, correct?
Not since then.
Pardon me?
Not since then.
So you don't have any idea what's going on in her home right now?
Yes,
do
I
you?
do. Daycare.
You don't have any firsthand experience or firsthand observation of what's happening?
Auntie Retta's daycare.
Excuse me, sir.
You can look it up.
Please let me finish my question. You don't have any firsthand observations of what's happening in mother's home, do you?
Currently, no.
Now, you've also made a number of accusations or, we'll say, claims that stating that my client told you that she was sexually abused as a child by various family members, right?
Yes.
And how long have you known this?
Let's see, 13 years.
13 years. And so you decided to raise this as a concern in 2019, right?
Yeah.
And prior to that, you never had a problem with the family being involved around your daughter, right?
Not until she got with Michael Escobedo.
Okay, so Mr. Escobedo is a different person, he's not her family.
Oh, no, I was concerned about the family too as well. Yes, very concerned, but there wasn't much I could do about it. The thing is the family is a disgusting, diseased family.
You never told the court in 2016 that you were concerned about Ava's safety, did you?
No, because I wasn't then.
Or in 2015?
I wasn't then.
So it wasn't until you came back in 2019 to see Ava that you decided to tell the court that this was a concern of yours, right?
It became a concern when she started dating Michael Escobedo.
Have you ever met Mr. Escobedo?
Yes, I have.
And have you ever observed him with your daughter?
Nope.
Did Mr. Escobedo send you a cease and desist letter
Yeah.
telling you to stop
Yeah.
slandering his name?
Slander? I don't know why it's, call it slander, I call it the
Did
truth.
he send you a letter? on that?
His attorneys did, yeah, saying that I
Thank
need
you.
to keep my mouth
Thank
shut.
you, you answered your question.
And were you saying things about Mr. Escobedo being a sexual predator?
Yes,
You don't have any proof of that, do you?
she's sitting right next to you. And actually, I do have a witness too, but I can't call him.
Sure, you could call any witnesses that you subpoenaed.
I didn't need to subpoena him, Your Honor, he was willing, but he runs a tractor and farm in Arizona. I thought, well, we would just be able to call him, and you could call him, and, you know, but, no, I don't, I guess it's just me right now, since I can't have Westbrook confirm what she told him as well.
At this point, you recognize that the permanent restraining order protects both Ms. Tice and your daughter, correct?
Yeah.
And do you understand the circumstances how that came about?
Yeah, I sent them an email, metaphorically speaking. Yeah.
Metaphorically speaking, okay. So, do you have weapons?
Nope.
Did you have weapons before the restraining order was issued? And that would be in Florida as well? Isn't it a fact that on several occasions you had told me you wanted to, if you couldn't have Ava, that just, the court should just give her to your family in Florida? Your parents?
My parents would take custody over, yeah. Like I said, this whole thing is the safety of my daughter. Her safety was
Sir,
never.
that's not in response to the question.
Was the answer to that yes?
What was the question?
The question is, you've made the point several times that if you can't have your daughter, then you would like your daughter to go to your parents in Florida, correct?
Yes.
If you are not willing to obey the court orders that the judge has already made regarding your drug testing and your battery treatment program, would that be because you don't think that those orders apply to you?
No, it's because I'm not moving back to California to complete them.
So you're only here temporarily then?
Yeah, for the safety of my daughter.
Move the microphone this way, please.
For the safety of my daughter, yes.
And you're not going to complete them in Florida either, is that your testimony?
If my daughter's with me in Florida, I'll do whatever you guys want.
So only if the judge allows you to move your daughter to Florida that would be the basis for your obeying court orders?
Not exactly, no.
You haven't asked this court to move Ava to Florida, have you?
I guess I am today.
Do you recall last time we were in court with Judge Damrell?
Yes.
And you got very upset during that hearing, didn't you?
Yes, it depends on who you ask.
Well, the judge made notes of that in the record.
Yes,
Do you
I guess
recall
I
reading
did.
that?
Do I what?
Do you recall reading that, her notes in the record? court said, although the court was more than patient with father and gave him ample time to present his and opposing counsel on several occasions, let me back up. Although the court was more than patient with father and gave him ample time to present his argument, father was extraordinarily disrespectful of the court. He raised his voice and interrupted the court and opposing counsel on several occasions after being asked not to do so. Do you recall that?
I recall why, yes.
Do you recall telling the court that you are also using marijuana at this time?
Yes.
And you recall the judge telling you that is still an important thing for her to know, whether or not
No.
you're using a substance, okay?
No.
So does that have something to do with why you're not willing to drug test?
No.
Are you using marijuana?
Yes.
Are you using any other medications?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. You can step down, sir.
And I'd like to call Ms. Tice, please.
Ms. Tice, if you'd step forward, raise your right hand if you swear.
Do you solemnly swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony and evidence you provide the court today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please state your name for the record. Amanda Tice.
Go ahead, counsel.
Thank you. Ms. Tice, in terms of the mediation recommendation that we just discussed, it's fair to say that you're not in agreement with her recommendation.
Correct.
And you were not in agreement with it prior to the time the restraining order matter was even addressed.
Correct.
So, at this point, how important is it for you that father finish the court-ordered drug and alcohol testing?
To me, it's vital for the safety and concern of my daughter now and in the future.
Okay. What type of experiences did you have with his past drug and alcohol abuse that causes you to continue to have concerns?
While under the influence, whether it be alcohol or drugs, Mr. Tice has shown that he is unstable, very angry, unable to compose himself in a safe manner. He has been physically abusive to myself while under the influence. And that concerns me for the safety of my daughter, so that she is to be safe.
Okay. Now, the last time that you were together was in 2014.
Correct.
And that is when the domestic violence occurred?
The domestic violence occurred at the end of 2014. The last time that we were physically living together was August 2014, but we physically separated in May of 2014.
So the incident in question where he assaulted you, that was in December of 2014?
Correct.
And then, was there a restraining order, a criminal protective restraining order put in place shortly after that?
Yes.
And how long was that for?
I believe it was 3 years, from 2015 January to 2018 January.
Okay. And then we have a new restraining order just put in place in January of 2020. When you went to court on the day of your restraining order matter in Placer County, was Mr. Tice present?
On that day?
When the day that you went in for your hearing on your restraining order in Placer County, or just recently in January?
Yes.
And did Mr. Tice testify or speak from the seat?
Yes.
Did he make any comments about why he had sent that email to you?
I don't recall.
Did anything prevent him from testifying?
No.
Did you testify?
Yes.
Who was the judge who was presiding?
I don't recall.
Does the name Judge Francis Carney sound familiar to you?
Yes.
Real quick, are we, just so I can follow on, are you asking her about the domestic violence or the family court case?
Asking about the restraining order, sir.
Oh, okay, okay, sorry.
Mr. Tice has made, has taken it upon himself to try to, let's say, help Ava with deficiencies in your parenting. So for example, what has he done over a period of several months regarding food?
There was food left on my front doorstep 2 times, there was a note in one of them, I believe, from Mr. Tice to my daughter, with concern that she was not eating properly.
Okay, do you happen to know why he left the food like that?
From what was said in a supervised visit, he was concerned that she was not eating because she had said something in a supervised visit.
About what, being hungry at the moment?
About that she was not eating, or she makes her own food and sometimes she's too lazy to go and get something to eat.
So then he delivered food to your doorstep?
Someone did, I don't know who did,
Someone
but
did.
someone did.
And when was the food left there?
I don't recall the exact dates.
So it was done twice?
Twice.
It hasn't been done since?
No.
For some time now, right?
Correct.
Is there any problem with Ava eating?
No,
Is she a pretty healthy child?
absolutely.
How old is she?
She's 9.
How much does she weigh?
She weighs 64 pounds.
Is she in good health?
Yes.
And does she have any issues where she's being treated by a doctor for anything?
No.
How frequently does she see her doctor, pediatrician?
Twice a year.
Does she see her dentist?
Yes.
Has there ever been any complaints filed against you, or we'll say investigations from CPS regarding your daughter's health?
No.
Or safety?
No.
Or welfare?
No.
Mr. Tice also made some allegations about, his concerns about people around your daughter. Do you recall some of those concerns?
Yes.
He's claimed that he was concerned that Ava might be sexually molested by someone. For example, your brother. What's your brother's name?
Denver Adcock?
And Denver lives with you?
Correct.
Prior to the time that you and he separated, Mr. Tice, did your daughter ever go over to visit Denver and his family?
Yes.
And was Denver married at that time?
Yes.
Okay, was there ever a concern or a reluctance from Mr. Tice to let his daughter visit his brother-in-law?
No.
So, when is the first time you heard about this concern that Denver may have, and I'm using finger quotations in the air, may have molested you? When is the first time you heard about that?
I don't recall the exact date.
Well, is it this year, last year, 5 years ago, when was it?
2019, I believe.
So it was when he filed his request.
Correct.
He mentioned that. In terms of other family members, has he made claims that other family members are a threat to your daughter?
Yes.
Is any of that true?
No.
Mr. Tice has also complained that you take your daughter to a hotel or to hotels on occasion. What is the nature of your visit to hotels?
My boyfriend travels for work when he comes into town because there is quite a few people in our home. My mom does have an in-home daycare. We do not stay at my home. We stay at a hotel so that we have our time alone with our family at the hotel. That's where we sleep.
And Ava has her own bed?
Absolutely. She's never shared a bed with us.
Mr. Tice has made accusations that he believes that you are actively sex trafficking your daughter. Do you recall seeing that in one of his pleadings?
Yes.
And did you speak to the mediator about that?
Yes.
And I didn't see that in the report. I didn't see that addressed in the report. Did you answer any questions to the mediator about that concern?
She didn't ask any questions.
At this point, are you asking the court to keep the orders in place at their supervised visitation?
Yes.
And that father needs to continue, the orders need to stay in place regarding drug and alcohol testing?
Yes,
and his battery treatment program,
yes,
regardless of where he's living.
yes.
I think there's another request that you may have asked recently, and it has to do with the communication that takes place.
Yes,
In your trial brief, you asked that the parents use, actually, maybe I neglected to put this here, but we'll ask it now. Are you familiar with the parent communication app called Our Family Wizard?
yes,
And would you prefer that that be used for communications?
yes,
Our Family Wizard, okay. Are you also requesting that father seek counseling for his emotional issues to help him understand the basis for things that are occurring in his life regarding his child?
yes.
No further questions, Your Honor?
Could you have any questions you wanna ask her about what she said?
Um,
Again, you're gonna have an opportunity to testify shortly, but.
Yeah, yeah.
You're going to ask her questions about what she said.
okay, now am I gonna be able to ask her my own questions, or is it just, right now it's just
No, you
going?
can go ahead and ask her your own questions.
Okay.
What trigger is meant.
Well, first off, which is it, boyfriend or fiance?
He's my boyfriend.
Not your fiance now.
No,
So you did lie on court paperwork when you put fiance on the court documents this last time? It says fiance.
Objection argumentative.
That's argumentative, sir.
Okay. Well, it's on the court paperwork.
Sir, I don't
You
know,
s-
more comment after I rule, okay?
I'm sorry. It's sorry, Your Honor. I understand. That's just how I have AD. It's how I process to the next step. I'm not meaning any disrespect.
Go ahead.
I talk to myself a lot. You mentioned that you say everybody says that I need to get psychiatric care. Has Ava ever had psychiatric care?
no,
Then why did you say she was under psychiatric care when I was in Florida?
I never stated that.
Yeah, you did, okay. Do you remember our conversation in Florida about the PTSD I had with my daughter with her emergency room visit? Do you remember that conversation?
I don't recall.
Okay. Did you ever take Norcos or any other pills?
Objection.
Ooh, yes. Can you state how you got those pills and when you would take them?
Objection, relevance.
What's the relevance here?
Environment. This whole thing is environment, Your Honor. The thing is I've gotten out of my environment. I've changed. Amanda hasn't. That's the whole basis of this. How many
I'll
relations?
sustain the objection.
Okay.
Go ahead.
What's the sustained meaning?
It's not relevant.
Okay. How many boyfriends have you had prior to this?
Objection, relevance.
I can get to that.
Not relevant either, so.
It is relevant, Your Honor, because I will.
Sustain the objection.
Okay. Have I ever objected to any previous boyfriends you had?
Objection, not relevant.
It is very relevant to why.
It's sustained.
Okay. Ah, man.
If you have any questions for her, then we'll.
I do have many questions, but-
Finish. If you don't have any questions for her, she'll step down. We're gonna take a break, and then you'll have an opportunity to testify and tell me what you wanna tell me. Whether it's about her number of boyfriends or whatever, but this is for cross-examination. This is only to ask her questions about what she said. Okay? So at this point in time, ask her questions about what she said.
Okay. The delivery service for food. What groceries do you keep in the house for Ava?
Objection.
What now?
The delivery service for food. I'm asking what type of food does she keep in the house, because that's why I was delivering food, because there was no food in the house.
The question is, what kind of food do you keep in the house, man?
Milk, eggs, salad, macaroni and cheese, steak, chicken, anything that would be in a typical portable refrigerator. Also a lot of snacks because there is a daycare in my home.
There's a daycare there. Who cooks for Ava?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Who cooks for Ava?
Myself, my mother, and Ava,
What do you cook for her?
all types of things.
What do you cook for her? What do you know how to cook?
She just said all types of things.
Okay, well, I'll cover that in my own witness. Okay, I think I'm done now, actually. I'll be my own witness. The truth will get out. And I'm not being objected constantly, so.
Do you have any questions you want to ask her?
No, Your Honor, I don't. I think I just need to tell the truth. No, Your Honor, I just need to get on the witness
All
stand
right,
because.
anything else, ma'am?
No questions, I just would like to ask for some exhibits to be answered, Your Honor.
Your Honor, actually,
Just a minute, sir.
sorry, I got another
Those would be
question.
exhibits 2, 3, and 4, is that
Yes,
right? Or
2,
2, 3, and 9?
Correct, 2, 3, and 4,
2, 3, and 4,
and 9, yes.
Okay. Now, you have those in the notebook that was provided to you? Those are just documents that she referred to.
What's that? I'm sorry.
2, 3, 4, and 9, and they're labeled.
Okay. Is she gonna be questioning now? Cause actually.
No, she's asking that I admit those documents into evidence.
Oh, okay, sorry. And can I ask questions still?
Sure.
Um,
No, wait, on this, understood.
yeah, I forgot to ask one of the questions
Do you have
regarding.
any objection to my introducing 2, 3, 4, and 9 into evidence?
Oh, no,
Okay,
no.
2, 3, 4, and 9 are in evidence. Okay, now did you think of another question you wanted to ask?
Yes.
Okay.
You weren't sexually abused by your family members?
Objection, relevance?
Well,
Environment?
this is, taking her on as a hostile witness, so I'll allow it. Question is, were you sexually abused by your family members?
A family member.
Which one?
A family member?
A family member, thank you.
So A is in one. You were only sexually abused by one family member.
Yes.
Who was it?
George Worley?
What happened to him after you were abused by him? What did your family do?
Can you restate the question?
What did your family do when they found out about the abuse?
Objection?
Is there an objection?
Well, I'm not sure, it could be speculation, if she was a child, I don't know that she would know. because it
Okay.
was found out.
All right, so I guess the question is, do you know what happened to her, or what your family did?
I don't understand the question.
He's
100%.
asking, after your family found out about the abuse, what if anything, do you know if they took any action with regard to?
There was no legal action taken, no.
Why not?
Well, that's speculative.
Oh, okay. Do you still see George Worley?
No,
Not on any family occasions at all. Church, nothing.
I have in the past.
You let Ava around him?
No,
What about Jack Jones?
no,
Jack Jones. Jack Jones. You don't let Ava around Jack Jones.
no.
What about the Thanksgiving that you, me, and Ava went to Tammy and Jones and Jack Jones was there?
That was in the past, yes.
Yeah. Was Jack Jones a registered sex offender then? Was he a registered pedophile then? Yes, he was.
Objection.
Okay, I'm just letting you know he was.
Stop. Testifying.
I can't report you in the confidential for people.
Right. Don't interrupt. If you've got a question, you can ask a question. If there's an
Okay.
objection, you be quiet till I rule on it. Now, do you have a question?
Ava doesn't see Jack Jones at all?
No,
Never hasn't since.
Slow down.
He hasn't since he was registered as a sex offender.
I don't recall when Jack Jones was registered as a sex offender.
It's part of your family though, right?
No,
Jack
he's
Jones?
not related to
Excuse me,
me.
sir. That's-
Okay. You weren't raped by your brother?
No,
Brian Wilson?
no,
Josh Scarborough?
no,
Tommy Wilson?
no.
Okay. No further questions.
All right. Is there any further questions of this witness?
Yes, Ms. Tice have, and as to this one issue, since he opened it, this Jack Jones, you took your daughter to some kind of an event, but Mr. Tice is with you.
Correct.
And then, at this point, do you keep your daughter safe in all circumstances?
Absolutely.
No further questions, Your Honor.
I have more questions actually. Who walks her to school?
Just a moment.
Oh, sorry.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, do you have another question?
Who walks her to school?
She does not walk to school. I have walked her to school one time myself. But she does not walk to school.
Do you work?
Objection, relevance?
The question is, do you work? Yes or no?
Yes,
What is it you do?
I'm not comfortable with answering that, but it is,
Prostitution? Okay.
Objection, move to strike.
Okay, objection sustained. Anything else?
Are you home during the week?
Are we reopening cross-examination?
I'm allowing him some latitude, yes. Okay, are you home during the week, then?
yes,
Monday through Friday?
most of the time, yes.
Don't fly around the country with Michael Escobedo.
What's the question?
Do you fly around the country with Michael Escobedo on a weekly basis?
Objection, Your Honor, relevance?
She's never home to take care of her daughter. Her mother's raising my daughter in a
I'll sustain the
daycare.
objection. Anything else?
I'm just waiting on an answer. Are you
Okay,
home?
I
It's,
sustain the objection to that question. So there won't be an answer to it.
to whether or not the mother is present during the week. I can't get an answer for that.
No, we can't get an answer to whether or not she's flying around.
Okay, are you-
Michael
so-
Escobedo.
Okay. Does your work take you out of the state?
No,
Why can't you tell me what you do for work?
Objection, argumentative.
I mean, it's pretty, is your job sustainable to take care of Ava? I mean, that's the question. I mean, what do you do for work? Why is that such a hard?
All right, how is it that you're able to work and take care of Ava during the week, man?
I have a job. She is taken care of by my mother while I work.
Okay, thank you.
Does Ava help your mother with the daycare?
In what
Simple
ways?
yes or no. Simple yes or no.
Objection, vague as to the meaning of help your mother with the daycare.
Does she change diapers?
No,
She doesn't. Your
Answer
mother,
no.
huh?
The answer was no.
Okay. She says she does.
Objection.
Sir, that's,
Okay, I'm sorry. So your mother takes care of it. Your mother also runs a daycare. What are her daycare hours? What hours of operation is the daycare?
6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay. And where are you during this time?
It depends on if I'm at work or not. Sometimes I may be at the store, at work. at
Well, how
home.
often do you work? Do you? I mean, you don't obviously have a set schedule. You don't have a schedule.
sir, slow down. All right,
I'm a little concerned about the privacy issues here. There is a permanent restraining order. I don't feel comfortable with, this is really not germane at all to the issue about him knowing about her work schedule.
perhaps this question would be satisfying. Thanks. How many hours a week do you work, ma'am?
40,
Thank you. And is some of that work done at home?
no.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, sir?
I'm just thinking, Your Honor. Does Ava lie? Would you say, Amanda, that Ava is known to lie?
She has lied.
Is she known to lie?
At
No,
times she
sir,
has
that's
lied.
vague.
Okay.
The question is, she's answering the question.
Okay. Am I allowed to ask her, show her this? Right.
If you haven't marked him for,
I don't know how I'm supposed to mark anything. Okay, this is a,
I don't know what.
do you have cousins who were adopted out?
Objection, relevance.
The whole family tree. I'm trying to, okay. You know other cousins were sexually abused by your family members?
Objection, relevance.
I have the proof
I'm
of
gonna
it.
sustain the
Okay,
objection.
well, the reason I bring all this up,
I've sustained the
I understand that,
objection.
okay.
You don't need to go to the reason why.
all right, you're right. She's not gonna tell the truth, Your Honor, so I'm done.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. You may step down. Did you have any other witnesses, counsel?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, before we reconvene, just so I can clarify, one thing in my mind, as I understand it, the order that Judge Damrell made was on 12/11/2019, I believe.
That's correct.
And the 52-week battery program was ordered by Placer County, and that was, I couldn't find that in here, I'm just missing it.
Okay, it was attached to my pleading.
I'm sorry?
It's attached to my pleading, and I'll tell you where that is.
I just tried to get the date off of it. And the date of filing these pleadings.
Okay, it would be filed November 26, 2019. This is Patrick Tice's record of conviction for
November
PC.
26th.
Yes. And the second page has the order for the 52-week.
November 26th or November 6th?
26, Your Honor, November 26, 2019.
26th. I'm not finding that for some reason.
I gave you a copy of mine if you'd like.
If I could just look at it, that would be helpful. Thank you. And this was when the 52-week batteries program.
Yes,
started.
the second
Okay,
page
thank
of
you.
the
I'll return
arraignment
this to you. Thank you.
shows that.
All right. We'll go ahead and be in recess for about 15 minutes, and we'll reconvene, and you'll have your opportunity to present your case.
Okay, one question.
No, they're not questions.
We're in recess right now.
You'll have an opportunity.
Oh, no, I just, okay, whatever.
Thank you.